Today's gospel message is a challenging one. While most marrying couples intend for their marriage to be permanent, the incidence of divorce is a painful reality in our society. Divorce statistics for Catholics are remarkably similar to those for the general population. And one reason why we have a divorced and separated ministry here at St. Paul to provide support and accompaniment. We often marvel at those who actually succeed in maintaining a lifelong, loving relationship as husband and wife. When couples married for 40, 50, 60 years are asked the secret of their success, they might say something like, "The key to a happy marriage is being able to get in the last word, as long as it's, 'Yes, honey.'" In other words, we are to die to self. It is in giving that we receive. One of the reasons that the church recognizes marriage as a sacrament is that it is designed to help us grow in holiness. Marital love is a reflection of God's love for his people. The Lord seeks an everlasting relationship with us. Jesus is the bridegroom, and we, his church, are the bride. Jesus loved us so much that he died on the cross for us. He is the model lover, willing to sacrifice everything for his beloved. In return, we are called to love others sacrificially. It is said that a successful marriage doesn't require each partner to give 50-50, but rather give 100% of themselves. That is, giving without counting the cost. So now let us turn back to our gospel reading. If we dig below the surface, we will discover that it is about more than just marriage and divorce. There is a wider message for all of us, single, married, widowed, divorced, and remarried. We see that the Pharisees are up to their old tricks. They are trying to lay a trap for Jesus to go against the Old Testament law, which says that a man can divorce his wife for virtually any reason. The Pharisees thought if they could get Jesus to deny the legality of divorce, it would anger Herod, the ruler of the local territory. Why? Because Herod had abandoned his wife in order to marry his mistress, Herodias. John the Baptist had already been killed for condemning this illicit union. The Pharisees were now hoping that Jesus might suffer a similar fate. Moses had allowed divorce as a concession to the hard-hearted Israelites. Jesus, who came to fulfill the law, not abolish it, reminds the Pharisees of God's original plan for human beings, which says in Genesis, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his mother and father and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. God's intent from the very beginning was for marriage to be permanent. The marriage bond forged by God cannot be broken. This assumes, of course, that the marriage vows were valid in the beginning and there are no grounds for annulment. Israel at the time of Jesus was a patriarchal society, and when women were divorced by their husband, she and her children often suffered greatly, both economically and socially. The ability of man to divorce for very little cause led to abuse and exploitation of women. Jesus reminds the Pharisees that husbands are no longer two, but one. The creation story in Genesis gives us the theology of marriage. Husband and wife, while different, are meant to stand side by side, equal in the marriage union. It was a radical notion at that time. Spouses are interdependent on each other and must not treat the other like property to be discarded. Jesus' strongest words are for those who initiate divorce as a means to get something else, sacrificing a spouse for their desires or personal ambition, as Herod did in order to marry his mistress. We sometimes talk about living in a throwaway culture. People throw away possessions when they become used rather than repairing them, recycling them, or donating them. In the same way, personal relationships are discarded when they no longer meet our needs, or become difficult, or if someone better comes along. In the wider society, we discard people who aren't useful or convenient. How do we treat the unborn, the terminally ill, those contemplating suicide, the homeless, the mentally ill, those that are addicted, the aged? During this October, which is Respect Life Month, let us consider how we treat the most vulnerable in our society. In October 2001, St. Pope John Paul II beatified for the first time in history a married couple together on the same day, setting their wedding anniversary, November 25th, as their feast day. They are Blessed Luigi and Maria Beltrame Quattrochi. They were married for over 45 years before Luigi's death in 1951. The Pope said in his homily, "They lived an ordinary life in an extraordinary way," demonstrating that sainthood for married couples is possible and beautiful. A test of their trust in God and how far they were willing to give of themselves came after 8 years of marriage. Diagnosed with placenta previa during Maria's 4th pregnancy, and given the dangers of that time of carrying her baby to term, doctors counseled the couple to abort the pregnancy. Her husband, Luigi, was advised that barring a medical intervention, he should expect to be a widower with 3 small children to take care of. The doctors were able to induce labor, however, and delivered the baby prematurely. Maria attributed her faith in God to her and her daughter's survival. And Ricetta, along with 2 of her siblings, were present when their parents were beatified at St. Peter's in Rome. May we follow the example of Christ and give without counting the cost, as Blessed Maria and Luigi did.